What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Happy Fantasy Dads show day. Today is episode 6, talking tight ends and defenses today. And I am here with my boy Kevin, as always. What it do, bro?
What's up?
What it do, what it do?
How we doing, buddy? Little tight end show today.
Little tight end show. Little dabble
Most
into the
exciting.
most, probably, besides kicker, and probably the two most important positions in fantasy football. But gotta do it, gotta cover it. You never know, might end up with a Darren Waller or a Mark Andrews this year, so you gotta make sure we're on top of the game. But we'll just recap last week. We talked wide receivers, and then yesterday we did a mock draft. You can check those out on YouTube whenever you want. All our episodes are posted on our YouTube channel, which you could just search for The Fantasy Dads, and our channel will pop up. But like I said, today we'll be talking some tight ends. We got the top 10. We got some sleepers and some busts. Value picks, and then we're going to talk some defenses. I'm not going to get too deep in the defense side of the thing, but we'll mention a couple teams and show you our top 10s and stuff. But to start it off, we'll jump into the quick news segment with Kev here, talk a little recap on the COVID situation.
COVID-19.
Yeah.
So we got, since our last show, the big one, Damian Williams opts out.
Huge.
That's huge. Huge news. That gives Clyde Edwards-Helaire all the upside in the world. I mean, you were just waiting for something to happen to Williams, and it happened. So I saw yesterday in the mock that he is now being picked on sleeper anyway, 5th overall.
High.
Not just 5th for running backs, 5th overall. So that's crazy.
Wicked high.
I like him, but I don't know if I like him that much.
Yeah, I mean,
Also, what's up, Ray?
When we did the running back show, I picked Clyde Edwards-Helaire as a bust, simply because he was getting picked way too high, and because of Damian Williams being there. So now that Damian Williams has opted out, he moves up in the draft to the first round. He went pick 5. I mean, that's expected. I still stay clear just because he's a rookie, and I'm a guy who I don't know. Rookie running backs scare me a lot. You just don't really know. I'm not going to consider him a bust, but I still would stay away from it, especially in the top 5. I'd rather have...
McCaffrey was great as a rookie. Barkley was great as a rookie. We have a lot of good rookie running backs that do.
You do, but then you don't.
But he's definitely a 5th overall. That's too high.
Yeah, that's high.
That's a little too high for me.
Who else you got?
Mosley opted out. So with Mosley gone and Jamal Adams gone, that's the top 2 players on the Jets defense pretty much, right?
Yep, I would say so.
Yeah, so they're going to be awful, as expected. I expect the Jets to be fighting for the first pick in the draft again. What do you think, Mike? Do you think Jets or Dolphins? Who's going to have a better year?
Jets or the Dolphins?
Right, yeah. Who's going to have a better year?
I'll say the Jets, man. I'll say the Jets. I think Sam Darnold might come out and show some people that he can actually play quarterback. Lev Bell could have a bounce back year. Their offense could put points on the board. They're gonna have to. The defense is definitely not gonna.
They're definitely gonna have to throw the ball.
Yeah.
Anyway, a couple other tidbits. Gardner Minshew said the virus should be afraid of him. He didn't test positive. That's hilarious. He's awesome. Matt Stafford also taken off the COVID list, so he had a false positive. That's been happening a lot. It happened in baseball too. He's good to go. Good. And last couple items is Sony Michel with a pup. We've already talked about him being a bum, and that Damian Harris is probably going to be the starting running back in New England. And T.Y. Hilton already hurt his hamstring again. I'm pretty sure it was a hamstring last year. He's placed on a non-football injury list. I'm pretty sure he hurt it just working out, like on his own time.
Yep.
So I'm not picking him this year, right?
Not a chance. I got that bust right off the rip.
I mean, he could end up being great value, but I'm not touching him.
Yeah. I stay away from Hilton.
So that's the news.
Yeah, I mean, COVID's not nothing really happening too crazy yet. I think Stafford, um, that could have been some big news, but
Yeah,
that turned.
there. So
Yeah. So we'll jump into the question of the week. This week it's a little more difficult to come up with something. Tight ends aren't deep. You know what I mean? That just it's not a deep position. You'd be lucky if you can get a guy like a Mark Andrews or a Down Waller last year, in like the 10th or 11th round. It pays off. But other than that, unless you're wasting a top 5 pick in your drafts, it's it's a toss up really week to week. Um, so we went with the next two after Kittle. After the first tier, we went into the second tier, and we decided to go with Zach Ertz and Mark Andrews here. I took the poll on Instagram this week. I also took the question to Facebook. We didn't get any responses on Facebook this week, unfortunately, but we did get some feedback on the poll on Instagram, and Zach Ertz won 6-5. So it's close. Honestly, it's close in general. I'm a big Mark Andrews fan. I was big on him last year, and he ended up being very good. I still think he's going to be very good. They got rid of Hayden Hurst. It's going to open up some more targets for him. Even I think Hayden was hurt last year for a lot of the season too, so we've already seen what he can do without another tight end on his side. Ertz has Dallas Goedert on his hip, so this tight end receptions to be lost there, especially in the red zone. I don't know, and Wentz is always getting hurt too. I mean, Lamar hasn't gotten hurt yet. Yes, he can probably be scary to watch when he's running all over the field and getting hit by linebackers and safeties and stuff. You're like, oh, he's up, he's good. But Wentz is definitely more injury prone, making Ertz less attractive to me. So if I had to pick, I would take Andrews. I think he's just got the more consistent ceiling. I mean, Ertz is what? He's got to be at least 31 now, right? Andrews 26, young. I don't know. It's a toss-up. I'd love to have both of them. But if I had to pick, I'd take Andrews. Kevin's going to be talking about Ertz anyway, as I know he's who he's going to
yeah, I'm going here. I'm going to go the other way.
Yeah, so I mean, so the poll ended up being Ertz. Ertz ended up winning 6-5. But we'll jump right into our top 10s. Here's our rankings here. And yes, I know I spelled Evan wrong on Evan Ingram. That's been established, and I did not want to go back and fix this. It's too bad. Pretend it says an A and not an E. It does on the other one. It doesn't on this one. But like I said, the top 5, it's almost identical with Andrews and Ertz flipped. I had Kittle number 1 for a while, but that Chiefs offense is just too good, man. You can't. And Kelsey's proven that he is. I mean, him and Hill are the 1-2. They're the 1-2 punch on that offense. Mahomes is going to be throwing the rock. You have to put him number 1. Kittle is Kittle, yes, but it's Jimmy G. We don't really know. He might not be that great of a quarterback. So I mean, he's still going to be good, but I take Kelsey and Mahomes over Kittle and Jimmy G. And then after that, you got the Ertz and Andrews at 3 and 4 flip flops for both of us. We got Waller at 5, and then after that, same thing. Evan Ingram and Hunter Henry flip flopped. But then after that, it kind of gets a little different. Kev's got Hayden Hurst, Gronkowski, and Jared Cook. I got Jared Cook, Eric Ebron, Greg Olsen. People are like, Greg Olsen, you're crazy. But I mean, they gave him some big money this offseason. It's not somebody I'm really going to be diving into today. I may do a player spotlight on him, but he's a vet. He signed a pretty decent contract with Seattle. Russell Wilson loves his tight ends. He always uses his tight ends. If you guys remember Will Dissly from last year, Jacob Hollister. I mean,
Will Dissly.
Give him a tight end, he'll throw him the ball. Greg Olsen's a proven Pro Bowl tight end. Seattle needs a tight end, I guess. I don't think is Hollister still on the team? He must be, right?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I mean, but they paid Olsen to start. They didn't pay him. I think it was 14 mil. Was it 1 year 14? So that's money for a starting tight end in the NFL. So I think he's gonna come in and start, and I think that Seattle offense is gonna be pretty high potent this year too. So, and like I said, they always perform in Seattle. Is there anybody you want to talk about on your top 10 real quick that we're not gonna talk about today? How about Gronk? Dude? Why you got Gronk in your top 10?
I mean, you brought Gronkowski, man.
Yeah, I get that.
Put him with Tom Brady, and I don't even care. He looks great. He came out of retirement. He's fit. He's ready to go. You got to throw him in the top 10 at least. The guy's been 1 or 2 most of his career.
I guess.
Greg Olsen in the top 10, dude. His foot's fallen off the last 3 years.
I get that. But Gronk was retired and just comes back and he's instantly a top 10. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure he's still younger than Greg Olsen. And he's playing a better offense. Well, probably not a better offense.
We'll see. I mean, Gronk gets hurt all the time too, man. He's a robot. He's got fucking shit all over his body. I mean, hey, man. Like I said, it's the bottom of the 10 tight ends, dude. It's so like we might have a guy who's not even on our list, who ends up being a top 3 tight end. You know what I mean? Like Eric Ebron, who I have in my top 10 because I'm a predicting guy. But like people like that, you never know. Jack Doyle. Talk about him later. But so we'll dive right in here. Kev, I'll let you talk about your boy Zach Ertz real quick.
Ertz. So I'm on Ertz.
Whoa. What up, Voodoo? Little Raider 20. Welcome everybody from Voodoo Stream. This is the Fantasy Dad Show. We're talking fantasy football today. Right now we're talking about tight ends. Kind of a dull show, but definitely something you should be listening to and make sure you get some more information on it. But thank you for the raid, Voodoo. I appreciate everybody who follows me. I appreciate it, man. I'm not going to interrupt Kevin again, but feel free to stay and check out the show. There's a live question and answer at the very end of it. And we also got YouTube and Instagram if you want to check us out there as well. Just search the Fantasy Dads. All right, Kev, go ahead.
I'm going Ertz. That's my guy. I mean, he's the number 1 target in the offense, easily. We don't know who's going to be there at wide receiver this year. Jeffrey's going to be hurt. Oh, it's all good, man. It's all good, Voodoo. Yeah, Alshon's out. Deshaun Jackson, we don't know what's going on with him. Then we got a rookie, Jalen Reagor. So, I mean, Ertz and Goddard, they're the guys that are on the show. And Zach Ertz, as solid as they come, 5 straight years with 100-plus targets and 800 yards at least.
Right.
He's healthy. He's on the field. He's played in at least 14 games every year. And then 2 years ago, he had 116 catches for 1,163 yards, 8 touchdowns. Last year was 88 for 916 and 6. A little bit more Goddard in there. But, I mean, it's still 88 catches, 916 yards, and 6 touchdowns. I mean, that's just consistent as it comes. He's going to be on the field. Andrews was on the injury report every week last year, so that's just basically why I'm going with Ertz.
Nice.
Over Andrews. I just think he's as solid as you can get behind Kelsey and Kittle.
So, here's my question with Ertz. So, Dallas Goedert doesn't make you shy away from his production possibility?
No. Last year, he 88 for 916 and 6. He had 135 targets.
Now, how many of those games did Dallas Goedert play in? Do you know?
All of them.
So, I mean, I don't know. I just they really like Dallas Goedert, man. But you're right. I mean, he's still gonna be a top 5 fantasy tight end. I just don't know if I take him over Andrews.
They were both on the field every week last year, and they both put up good numbers because they don't have any wide receivers, and they still don't really have any wide receivers.
Yeah, and I mean the Patriots prove that you can have 2 tight ends coexist in an offense and produce fantasy numbers too. So it's definitely possible. I mean, they're gonna. You're right. They don't have receivers really with the big body. So. But,
I mean, I don't know about Arcega Whiteside and Jeffrey's hurt. So I mean, these are 2 guys. These are the red zone guys. I mean, Miles Sanders is there. He's going to catch passes, but these are the 2 guys that are going to go off. Yeah. So I like Ertz.
A lot of fantasy experts out there have Dallas Goedert in their top 10s with Zach Ertz in the top 5, which I find very bizarre. It's nothing you've seen since Hernandez and Gronk played together. But I mean, hey, it can happen.
I mean, he had 600 yards and 5 touchdowns himself last year.
Yeah, and I just looked that up.
It's incredible.
50 catches. They both getting their targets. But, all right, we're gonna jump into my guy. This is Darren Waller, tight end for the Las Vegas Raiders now. Last year, He was kind of a sleeper guy, kind of on the same level as Mark Andrews. Not many people really knew much about Darren Waller besides that he was an ex-drug addict. He basically picked drugs before the NFL when he played for the Ravens. He actually got picked out of Georgia Tech with the very promising future. They saw a lot of comparisons to Shannon Sharp when he got drafted, and he definitely has that ability. He showed it last year coming back to the NFL, getting picked up by the Raiders, showing that he's clean, was just pretty much the star on Hard Knocks with AB. But Darren Waller, man, he was awesome for me last year. I'm not going to lie. I had him in this... Did I have him? Yeah, I had him in this league. He was awesome for me. He really was. Right now, he's getting picked in about round 5. So that is a top 5 tight end right now in ADP wise. I have him in my tier 2, right before tier 3. We both have him at number 5, but that easily could skyrocket. You could not skyrocket, but like go up to at least top 3. He finished last year as a tight end 3. He scored at least 12 points in 9 games, and he averaged 13 points per game, which is good. He had 117 targets, 90 catches. With their pick of Henry Ruggs, I could see some digression in his targets, in his target share. I could see that. He wasn't a big red zone target to begin with. He only had 3 touchdowns, one of them being a 75-yard touchdown. So he wasn't a big-time scorer in the red zone, which could hamper his numbers this year. But didn't hamper it last year because he brought the ball in. He actually had a lot of drops, surprisingly. Which is kind of bizarre that he was a number 3 tight end. I look at his stats more and more, and I'm just like, that's how weak it is to be a tight end in fantasy football. This dude he didn't have a crazy stat line. 1,100 yards, 3 touchdowns is nothing to be like, wow, that's amazing. But it's there. It's there. He's the number 1 tight end. And he's gonna get the volume from Derek Carr. They're gonna throw him the ball again. And he showed his athletic ability. He can play the outside at 6'6" if he wants to line up at wide out. Not that they're probably going to do that, but... I mean, outside of Henry Ruggs, and we got Tyrell Williams, and Hunter Renfrow, and who's the other guy? Is that it? I think that's all they have.
Well, they brought him back for, but I don't know, he might not even make the team.
Yeah.
Clyde Edwards, the rookie.
Another rookie, right.
The rookie.
Yeah, but Waller's got he's got his solidification bar, so I like him this year again. I would be okay walking away from my draft having Waller as my tight end 1. Getting him in round 5 might be a little bit too early for tight end if you're not getting the tier 1, but if you do want that tier 2, I would say take him in round 5 if he's there. I mean, look at the board. If guys have already picked Ertz, Andrews, Kittle. Even Hayden Hurst. We were just talking about Hayden Hurst. He's getting ranked in top 5s now. You might be able to get there in Waller around 6, and that's even more value. So, I mean, Waller's great. I love Waller, the Walrus, as people call him.
Touchdowns should come up too. I actually remember a game against the Packers last year where he was stopped on the goal line, and there was another where he was stopped on the goal line a few times. So that number's coming up too. I like Waller.
Yeah, you gotta like them. Especially fantasy football tight ends, man. It's tough to get one. It's tough to get a good one. I've had too many years plugging and playing tight ends, man. It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
It's extremely.
And I know for a fact I'm gonna end up streaming tight ends this year too.
Yeah, it's just tough, man.
Every one league, it's gonna happen. So
it does. It happens. It does. Last year, though, I was fortunate. It didn't happen to me last year because I had Waller and Andrews in all my leagues, so I got fortunate with that. All right. So next we got some value picks. Kev, you want to jump into Jonnu Smith here?
Take Jonnu Smith. He's being drafted as the tight end 17. That's 156 overall, so basically not being drafted, or really, really late. And I think he definitely has what it takes to be the number 2 target in that offense. And it should be a decent offense. I know they run a lot. Pretty sure they were either second or third to last in passing attempts last year. and it's not going to change too much with a beast like Derrick Henry. But Delaney Walker, I mean, Derrick Henry was there with Delaney Walker for 2 years, and Delaney Walker had 4 straight seasons with 100-plus targets and 800 yards. So, the production for a tight end can be there in that offense. And Corey Davis hasn't exactly shown he's got what it takes. So behind A.J. Brown, I think it's wide open. And Jonnu is a freak. If you watch some highlights from him last year, one of them was like an end around where he took it for like 80 yards.
Oh, he's fast.
He passes the eye test, man. He's a beast. He was number 2 in yards per target and number 4 in catch rate last year. I mean, this shows some of his breakout potential.
Yeah.
And there's some. What was that?
He could be this year's Darren Waller.
I think I have John right now as being him and the guy you're going to talk about, the two that could sneak in to that Waller Andrews range for this year. I mean, Todd Shotgun, that's another 35 targets open. Delaney Walker is now gone out of the picture completely. He only had 31 targets last year because he's been dealing with injuries, but that right there is 66 targets for Jonnu available. I think they will throw a little bit more than they did last year.
Yep.
So it could be a guy. It could be. I mean, if you're gonna take a shot on one of these late tight ends, which I'm probably gonna end up doing, if I do not get one of those top guys, I'm gonna take a shot on probably 2 of these late guys like Smith, and I'm gonna hope one of them blows up, or I'm gonna just stream the matchups. But I like Johnny a lot.
Yeah. I like John. I watched. Where did he go to college? Is he a Georgia Tech boy too? But he's massive. He's a big body. He's definitely going to be an option for Ryan Tannehill. Like I talked about AJ Brown. This is going to chew into AJ Brown's production in the red zone if he even had any. So that adds into why I picked AJ to be a bust. I like Jonnu Smith. If he can stay healthy, I know he's from FIU, so he's not even from a big school. Yeah, if he can stay on the field, man, he's got the athletic ability to be that kind of hybrid wide receiver tight end guy that NFL teams are in love with right now. And
he caught a contested catch in the playoff game.
Yep.
And the upset against the Ravens, like he went up and got it, and he looks really good down there in the red zone too. And then you said Brown, he caught those boom balls, but he wasn't really heavily used in the red zone, was he?
Brown wasn't using the red zone at all.
Exactly. So if it's not Derrick Henry and it's not AJ Brown, they're throwing it to somebody down there.
Yeah, and he seems, based off of some articles I've read, Jonnu Smith seems like he's ready to rock and roll. He's been talking about how impressed he is with Ryan Tannehill's offseason workouts and stuff like that. But like I said, he's just got to stay healthy. He hasn't had a full season yet, right? No. He's only been in the season, 2 years, right? So, 3rd year's a charm, I guess, right? No, this is his 4th year. I'm sorry, 4th year. But yeah, still, 4th year's a charm.
He's never been a starter.
All right.
He played 16 games, 2 out of 3 years.
All right. I don't know.
He wasn't a starter.
He wasn't? So. No, you had Delaney Walker on the team.
Delaney Walker was there, so
yeah.
I mean,
he's not there no more.
Right.
Next up, I'm going to talk about Austin Hooper. Last year's, he was going to be the number 1 tight end until he got hurt. He started the season off crazy hot. He ended up with a total of 97 targets, 75 catches, and 787 yards and 6 touchdowns. The 6 touchdowns actually put him 4th overall in the tight end pool, which, again, is crazy. That's not a lot of touchdowns at all. But right now he's getting picked 94, which is pretty valuable. Last night he went in the last round of our mock draft. If you're sitting there and you're drafting players and Austin Hooper's sitting there at the very last round and you haven't picked a tight end yet and your plan was to pick, I don't know, a rookie tight end and just plug and play, Austin Hooper's an every week starter. He's gonna get targets in Cleveland. He's gonna be the number 1 tight end over there. Um, David Njoku is going to get traded. He wants to get traded. Even if he doesn't get traded, he pretty much put himself in the doghouse requesting to get traded. And they went out and asked for Austin Hooper to come play and paid him some cash. So they're going to put him in over Njoku. Um, there's definitely some downside to Austin Hooper. You got to be concerned with his health, stuff like that. But I don't know. Austin Hooper in the Cleveland Browns could be a match made in heaven for Baker Mayfield. He looked great with Matt Ryan last year before he got hurt. He looked great. No one could cover him. He was scoring bombs. Yeah, it was a 76-yard touchdown. I don't know. I like Austin Hooper. I think if you're getting him in the last round, I wouldn't reach crazy for Austin Hooper. There's 11 other guys I'd pick before Austin Hooper right now, but I got him number 12. I would if he's there in the last round, I haven't picked a tight end yet, and I was gonna go for a sleeper or something, I would take Austin Hooper all day.
See, last round, that's one thing. That's value. That's on sleepers rankings. But I know he's been ranked a lot higher on some sites, so pay attention to the format.
Yeah, they got him 94. They got him 94 ADP on fantasy data. So that's what, 9th round. So I mean that's close to a lot of leagues' last pick, but our league's 14 rounds. So he lasted to the 14th round. 3 wide receivers set too, so that could have played a role in it as well.
Yeah, my only worry for him, he didn't look good last year, but also the Falcons threw the ball pretty much more than any other team, and I feel like the Browns are going to be run heavy.
Yeah.
With that coach and that running back. And Njoku came out 2 days ago and said he doesn't want to be traded anymore. I'm all in on Cleveland, time to work.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Because Stefanski ran the 2 tight end set last year in Minnesota with Irv Smith and Kyle Rudolph. So we might see some of that with Cleveland this year, with Hooper and Njoku kind of both getting one. So that's probably why I wouldn't take him in the 9th round. But if you grab him in the last round, I mean, there's your value.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it looks like any of these other guys, any one of them could end up jumping into the top 5. At least 1 or 2 of them is going to.
Yeah, you gotta assume that somebody's gonna sneak in there. It happens every year.
Right.
It does. It happens every year. So next we'll do some sleepers and busts. I'll let Kev go first here with his sleeper, Jack Doyle.
Doyle.
The Doyle.
Yeah, so I was looking up Doyle's numbers, and I'm not impressed at all. So I might regret this one. But he's still been drafted pretty late, tight end 18, and he did have a good year in 2017 when he was the featured tight end for Andrew Luck. He had 80 catches, 690 yards, and 4 touchdowns. But he disappointed last year, and the year before that he was hurt. Ebron was taking all the work. But now he plays with Philip Rivers, and you know how Philip Rivers feels about reliable tight ends. And we've seen him do it with Antonio Gates and Hunter Henry forever.
Yeah.
He's always liked to have a tight end. So as of right now, being drafted as tight end 18, that's probably not even being drafted. He could sneak in there. He could sneak into the top 10. He get a little more red zone looks with Philip Rivers there. Especially with Hilton already got some injury question marks. And then behind Hilton, you got Paris Campbell and a rookie, Michael Pittman.
Yeah.
So you can get the work there.
He's a good PPR tight end.
Yeah.
He gets his catches, and Philip Rivers goes a lot.
The coach came out and said, Trey Burton, he's going to get work, but I fell for the Trey Burton thing 2 years ago, his first year with the Bears, and so I'm not going to fall for that again. Doyle's been there. He's a vet. Rivers is a vet. He likes tight ends. Just another one of those guys you could take a shot on late in drafts or even off the waiver wire. That could end up being a top 10 tight end. So there is value there.
Value, sleeper potential, boom potential. I like Jack Doyle. He's a red zone threat as well. I'm pretty sure he was before Eric Ebron came onto the scene in Indy, he was a pretty highly targeted tight end in the red zone for Luck.
Yeah, he had 80 catches the year before Ebron got there. So, I mean, you know he can do it.
You know, we can handle the load as a tight end one. I'm pretty sure that year he was a tight end one in fantasy as well. I mean, I remember Doyle being a pretty popular topic for a lot of the podcasts I listen to and shit. But that could also be the product of the offense that Indianapolis runs, which it might not change with Phillip Rivers there. It might go back to what it was. I don't know. They were very run heavy last year.
Yeah, they have the best offensive line in football, and Frank Reich's not going to go away from that.
Right.
But Rivers is a gunslinger, you know.
Yeah.
He's not Jacoby Brissett, you know. And Luck's laying around. Yeah. So I think we're going to see Rivers take one more shots than we saw last year in Indianapolis. So he can get up there. His ceiling could definitely be a top 10 tight end, and I think he's got a safe enough floor where you can grab him for free.
Pretty much free. There's like, if you can walk away. So we were talking about this yesterday. If you can, at the end of your draft, if you need a defense or if you need a tight end, you could potentially just not pick one of them if you want to stack up a certain position and then add a guy over the waivers. And this is a guy who could be there on the waivers for you week one that you could plug in into your lineup, and he could be an instant 12-point for you on the tight end position, which in fantasy is huge. That is a huge, huge thing to have at your tight end position, because a lot of the times, a lot of the guys you play, you will notice a lot of the bottom tier teams in your fantasy league aren't going to have tight ends. And if they do have tight ends, they're not going to have something of some other position. So, it's usually the teams that usually pull away at the end are the people that have like the tight end 4 or 5 that push through and found their way into the top 10. Unless they make a trade or something and figure out a way to get Kittle or Kelsey on their team, which happens. So I'm going to talk about his partner in crime back in Indy, but now he's with the Steelers, and that's Eric Ebron. Eric Ebron, he's going into his 7th year in the NFL. Got signed by the Steelers this offseason for 2 years, $12 million. He was off the field a lot last year. He only played in 11 games. He got injured, which is part of his forte as a football player in his career. He does get hurt a lot. He's having trouble staying healthy. Last year he had 52 targets, 31 catches, 375 yards, and 3 touchdowns, which is not great numbers at all. But he still managed to pull in a contract and go play for the Steelers, who are getting Big Ben back. Their offense is going to be better than it was last year, hopefully. And 2018, Ebron was a tight end 1. He was a top 5 tight end. He had 13 touchdowns. He was an insane player.
Yeah, I remember he was a monster in the red zone there.
13 touchdowns. If he could do half of that and get 7, that's a top 5 tight end. No, I mean it's tight ends are so weak. That's why like you come into a sleeper topic with tight ends, it's tough because
they basically all could be sleepers.
Right, they all anybody outside the top 5 could be a sleeper. You know, I mean
there's a lot of guys we're not talking about today. I mean we can mention them at the end, but I'd be just as comfortable taking a shot on them or just streaming them because they're there.
It's crazy.
Quick time.
Like I said, like in 2018, he was targeted 110 times. He only came down with 66 of those. He does have trouble catching the ball. He was in 2018. He was in the top percentile. I think it was top 2 percentile of drop passes in the NFL. That's not good, but they didn't stop targeting because he ended up with 110 targets. That was second amongst tight ends in the NFL. 750 yards, 13 touchdowns. 13 touchdowns. So let's just play a little game. So you take that stat line and just make it 7 touchdowns, and he's still a top 5 tight end. So I don't know. I see a lot of upside here with Big Ben on call under center for the Steelers. They don't really have a lot of targets. I mean, AB is gone. We all know that. But they got Juju, Deontay Johnson, James Washington. I mean, 2 names, James Washington, Deontay Johnson. We don't even know if Big Ben wants to throw him the ball. You know what I mean? And then Juju's Juju. He's gonna be Juju hopefully this year for a lot of people. Um, and then the run game suspect, so they're gonna need help in the red zone, and that's where Eric Ebron shines, man. If he can pull down those touchdowns again this year, getting them from Big Ben, I think he could surprise a lot of people and help you out in fantasy football. Um, he's not really getting drafted. His ADP is 166. I'm pretty sure that's undrafted in a lot of leagues. So I don't think he got picked last night in our mock draft. It was late. He got picked before Hooper. I know that, which was kind of strange. Um, yeah, that's 13th round. So that's about a lot of leagues probably go to about 13 or 12 rounds. Ours goes 14 because we have an extra slot. So, especially with the COVID this year, I mean, tight ends are gonna be scarce as hell. It's gonna be really scarce. It's gonna be a terrible player pool for tight ends. It always is. It always is. It's definitely the hardest topic to talk about in fantasy football is the tight end position. It's hard because like it's hard. I mean, you got Kittle, Kelsey, Ertz. That's your general names right there. And now you got Andrews added into that. And now you got Waller added into that as consistent top tier tight ends. But honestly, two of those guys just boomed last year, and we're here putting them in our top fives. And it's like we got running backs and receivers who boomed last year, and we can't even crack the top 20. It just shows you how unstable the tight end group is. So don't dive too deep into tight ends. Don't drive yourself crazy. Don't overpick somebody because you want a top tier tight end. You don't have to. You don't have to. You can walk away with one of these guys who has a high ceiling. And if you got to plug and play a tight end, plug and play a tight end. Go with the matchups. You could end up with a Tyler Higbee who gets you 3 weeks of tier 1 tight end stats, and then that's it. But hey, those 3 weeks he's getting you 20 points. You plugged and played him if you're looking at scheduling and matchups, and if that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. At least you know everywhere else on your team is solidified. I was looking at a lot of the mock drafts we've been doing, and the people that are taking the tight ends early don't have depth outside of their running back 1 and 2 or their wide receiver 1 and 2. So it's tough. Tight ends are tough, man. It's tough. The only people that you can really take with confidence of being a tight end 1 and 2 is Kelsey and Kittle, and that's why, But Ebron, sleeper. We're a little off topic there. Sleeper right there. Take him. Take him in the last round if he's sitting there. Take Jack Doyle if he's sitting there. Take Austin Hooper if he's sitting there in the last round. Take Hayden Hurst. Take them all. Take them all. Now we got some busts. Evan Ingram, he's a bust. Talk about him, Kev.
Yeah, I got him ranked tight end 7 just because I feel like you have to, because if he is on the field, he's pretty good, but it's been grim.
Big if.
Big if. Missed 13 games the last 2 years, and so I'm not going to pick him in the 7th round.
No.
With that kind of track record. Like, I'm all set, and that's where he's been going right now, 75th overall. Like we just said, man, if I don't, my tight end strategy is always been to wait. Lately, I've trended towards getting Kelsey if I can. Mm-hmm. But beyond that, I might look at Andrews and Waller more like the 5th round. But if I don't get any of those 3, I would take Jonnu and Ebron. I grab them both, and then I could play the matchups or see if Jonnu becomes this year's Waller. There you go. You have him. But I'm not going to waste my 7th round pick on Evan Ingram, who in the last 3 years has had concussions, an MCL sprain, hamstring strain, MCL pull, a foot sprain. It's all the injuries. It's all lower body, it's knee, it's hamstring, it's foot. I don't want to mess with that, man. So I'm just all set with taking him with my 7th round pick.
Oh my God, 7th round for a guy who hasn't played. Has he played a full season yet? No, right?
I think maybe his rookie year. Huh. But definitely the last 2 years. Last year he missed 8 games, I'm pretty sure. The year before that it was 5.
Yeah.
So it's brutal, man. And the kind of injuries he's dealing with, it's different injuries each time, and it's all things that you're going to re-injure. Hamstrings, knees, foot, those things linger. I can't do it. I'm not going to waste my 7th round pick on a tight end, especially, first of all, it's tight end, so it's a volatile position, and he might not even be on the field.
Yeah.
So that's my stance on Ingram.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty much the same stance I have on the next guy, and that's
But
That's Hunter Henry. I mean Hunter Henry
uh,
has the potential to be that top five tight end. He has it, but he doesn't use it, and he gets hurt every year. He has not been healthy at all. Even his rookie season, he was hurt. And in that rookie season was his best season, and it's ever since then he's digressed and he's gotten worse every year. Outside of the yardages, everything else has gotten worse. Um, and his tight ends went from 8 to 4 to 3, and last year he had that one week he had like what 3 touchdowns and inflated his whole stat line. His whole stat line's inflated because he had that one week he had 3 touchdowns, came off the IR and had 3 touchdowns or something crazy like that. Um, Hunter
yep.
Henry is just like Evan Ingram. It's the same kind of player. They both have
Pretty much.
tremendous talent, tremendous hype coming out of college. They're the next Gronk, the next Tony Gonzalez, the next this, but they can't stay healthy, man. Why would I want to pick a guy who's getting picked?
Not,
Hunter Henry's getting
yeah,
picked
not
right
really.
next to Evan Ingram in the fifth round. Sorry, no, seventh round. Um, that's too high for an injury-prone tight end. Too high. It's crazy to me, man. Tight ends are crazy. I could sit here and talk about how I would never pick a tight end unless I'm getting Kittle or Kelsey, and we could do that for hours. But um, Hunter Henry, in 12 games last year, he had 76 targets, which isn't bad in 12 games. It's not bad, but he also had Phillip Rivers. Um, so this
Yeah.
so this might play into the argument we had about Keenan Allen, but I don't put Keenan Allen on the same page as Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry can't make his own routes, can't make plays by catching a slant. Hunter Henry is a red zone guy. He's definitely athletic. He definitely could turn an out or an in or a post or something into a longer play. He does have some pretty good yak. But I mean, he doesn't he hasn't had a season where I can say, okay, this guy is not a bust this year. I feel consistent with him going in the top 10 tight end. But no, I don't. I don't this year. I see him getting hurt again. I see him getting hurt again because he does it every year. So he's a bust to me. Getting picked that early, it's a bust. It's a bust.
Yeah, even if he doesn't, he's got Tyrod Taylor. He just doesn't throw the ball a lot to be able to support enough pieces.
Yep.
Keenan Allen's going to get his. Mike Williams, I mean, his average catch last year was like 20 yards. He's like a big downfield guy. He's a red zone guy. And Eckler out of the backfield. I mean, how many more is Hunter Henry going to be the third or fourth option, and the offense is not going to throw that much?
He only, he only had over 5 targets 4 times last year. So I mean, and that one time he had his, I don't know, it was 2 touchdowns. I'm sorry. Week 6, he came back from the IR. He had 2 touchdowns, 100 yards, and 9 targets, 8 catches, and that was his boom week. And everybody fell in love, and then he kind of just fell off. He had 8 targets, 6 targets. Then he had 10 target game against Green Bay, and I mean, I guess he gets some targets, but then he's got weeks like this: 3 targets against Denver, 10 yards; 4 targets against Jacksonville, 30 yards. That's your seventh round pick right there. Las Vegas, the Raiders, 7 targets, 45 yards. It's 2 targets, 20 yards against Minnesota, 6 targets, 40 yards against Kansas City. 6 targets, 40
Yeah.
yards against Chicago. Like that's not a seventh round pick to me, man.
No,
Not even
not
close.
at all.
Not even close. I'd rather reach on a running back with higher upside than to take a Hunter Henry or a Evan Ingram or a who? Give me somebody. Rob Gronkowski. I mean, any of those guys who
I
aren't.
put them too. I'm not going to jump on him.
Yeah, I just don't think tight ends are worth jumping at all. I don't know why they get. I don't know why they get picked. Is where they get picked. I think it's because they have that appeal of a skill position. When in reality, a lot of the times they're on the field to block. So those play the stat where they have the on the field percentage and play percentage and routes ran percentage, a lot of the time that's inflated as well. So it's just you got to be careful when you pick tight ends. That's going to be the tip of today's show because I'm bored talking about tight ends because they suck, and we're gonna go right here and we're gonna turn this into a 360. And I'm gonna tell you right now, don't take a tight end unless you could get Kittle and Kelsey. I don't even honestly. I wouldn't even pick them. I'm gonna be honest. I wouldn't even pick them. I don't. I've never been a guy who takes tight ends. Every time I go early on a tight end, it screws me. Every time, personally. Maybe that's just me. Even when I was a Gronk guy, I was picking Gronk early, and it sucked. It wasn't great. Everything else was terrible. My receivers sucked. My running backs sucked. I was waiver wiring every week trying to get the next big thing because I picked a tight end in the second round or I picked a tight end in the first round. They get numbers. I get that. They get targets like receivers. I get that. But I don't know. I'd rather have a running back or a receiver with way higher of a ceiling. Way higher of a ceiling. I don't know about you, but.
Well, last year was the first time it really worked out for me. I went McCaffrey first overall and got Kelsey at the turn, and that really worked.
Yeah, okay.
Obviously.
Okay. Well, McCaffrey is getting points for two players pretty much.
Right. But if I don't get Kelsey, like we talked about, I'm taking a shot on two of these other guys. Probably my last two picks in the draft. And then if neither of them hit, then, it's stream season. I'm playing the waiver wire every week, but one of them might hit, be that guy who's going to jump into the top 10. So I'm not wasting a mid-round pick on Hunter Henry or Evan Engram. No chance. I'm stacking wide receivers, running backs.
No shot.
Or I might grab my quarterback in that round,
Exactly. Yep.
I'm all set with those two guys especially.
Now imagine going to bed the day after your draft, right? And you look at your roster and you look at the results of the draft, and you see a guy. You look at your quarterback, and you're sitting with, I don't know, Tom Brady. We'll say Tom Brady. He was like your 12th round pick or something, and your tight end is this guy, Hunter Henry. You picked him in the 7th round, but then you got a guy. You're looking at somebody else's team. They got Dak Prescott, who they picked in the 7th round when you picked Hunter Henry. And in the 13th round, they picked Austin Hooper. That team is going to look a lot better than yours on paper, and it's probably going to be a lot better than yours in the regular season. So I don't see the hype on picking tight ends book it early. I think they should be picked where the defenses are picked. I think they should be picked where the kickers are picked. If you still have kickers in your league, I don't know why you do, but I don't know. Tight ends.
Outside of the top two. I mean, Kelsey puts up wide receiver numbers every year.
That's a personal preference for me. I don't like to take tight ends that high. I got lucky last year, so maybe I'm off of my own hype here, because I had the Andrews and Waller in pretty much every league. So maybe it's just my own hype, but I don't know. I'm gonna ride that hype, and I'm gonna pick Eric Ebron in the last round of my drafts, and he's gonna be my number 1 tight end.
I know what you're saying, because you sacrifice depth at other positions, but when it was Gronk you were taking first overall, he's getting hurt a lot of the time too. Kelsey's on the field. He's there. Yeah. He puts up wide receiver numbers.
That's true. Well, Kittle was hurt last year. Let's not forget, Kittle got hurt last year, and he was a 2nd round pick.
Kittle was hurt. He'll miss some time.
Yeah.
But Kelsey's as solid as they come, and I would love to have him on any one of my teams, if it makes sense.
It does, though. No, his target share is incomparable.
The exception for me right now.
Yeah, I mean, Kelsey's pretty much his. If you had to rank the tight ends, people say a lot of times Kelsey, Kittle, tier 1, but you can make an argument Kelsey's in his own tier. If you look at the stats, his target share is incredible.
It's every year too. It's not going anywhere.
No, it's not. And Mahomes knows this guy's talent, and he's going to get him the ball. So I can agree with you on that. He's looking here, dude. Since 2016, he's had over 1,100 yards. I mean, yeah, that's
why it's
over 80 catches a season. He averages at least 12 yards a catch. Yeah. Like I said though, he can make the argument. He can make the argument. I don't think you can make that argument with Kittle yet. Maybe after this year, he shows us he can do it on a consistent basis. But Kelsey right now, yeah, that's pretty nuts, man. Yeah, you could make an argument he's in a tier of his own, tier 1, and then you could put Kittle in tier 2. Yeah. But,
Kittle, Andrews, Waller, they're the next tier.
You could. All right. So that's enough of the tight ends. That boring talk. Let's get into even more boring talk. We'll talk about some defenses real quick. We're not going to dive too deep into this. We only got 8 minutes left of the show. So what we're going to do here, I'm just going to show you the top 10 list. I got a word spelled wrong. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You can find it yourself. Defenses, just like, well, actually not even just like tight ends. This is even worse. You this is even worse. So our league, our defensive scoring is a lot different than your standard scoring in your leagues. We don't accumulate. We don't use points scored against, and we don't use yards against. So our scoring is if you keep them under 10 points, you get points. Keep them under, you get a shutout, you get a lot of points. And then it's 2 points of safety, 6 points of touchdown, kick returns, punt returns, all that stuff, 6 yards.
Yeah, all that stuff's the same. It's just you get like the negatives
We don't no
or
negatives.
the bonuses for giving up not a lot of yards and stuff.
Yeah,
And
we do
stuff
no
like that.
negatives. No negatives in our league. I think that sucks. If you have a league that gives you negative points for a defense, I don't think that's fair. There's some weeks the best defense in the league could have a bad week, and now you're getting punished because you don't want to play waiver wire on defenses. You know what I mean? I don't like that. But that's just our league. So these rankings right here are based off of our stats here. It looks kind of wild. I think we actually got a lot of differences here. Besides the top three, generally the same there. If I could go back and edit this, I'd probably put Baltimore number one. I just learned that their defensive line has Derek Wolfe on it, which is pretty insane. And they signed. They got him too. So they might be moving up to number one when I update my rankings. But I mean, I don't know. There's a team we picked. Each of us, they're actually in the same spot. They're number 4 overall on our list here. And what's funny is, you don't have. Yeah, you do. Okay, never mind. They're both in our top 10. So I'll let Kev go first with his Chargers.
Yeah, I'm just gonna highlight the.
Oh, another raid. What up, Megs? Thank you for the raid, bro. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. This is the Fantasy Dads. We are kind of wrapping up here. This is the last segment of the show. We got about 5-6 minutes left. But feel free to follow me. Check us out on YouTube or Instagram. Just search the Fantasy Dads. And we go live every Monday night with live mock drafts. And we go live every Tuesday night. We talk positionals. And this is actually the last positional show. We don't know yet what we're going to do next week. But it'll be something special for you guys. So, yeah. I hope you guys enjoy the last couple minutes, but I will be streaming some Apex after this, so stay tuned. Kev, go ahead, my man.
Chargers. I got them 4th overall. I think they're kind of the elite. I mean, they got Bolton and Ingram, on the edges there, the pass rush, and they're building an elite secondary. Casey Hayward's still there. He's a shutdown corner. Chris Harris they bring in, shutdown corner. Desmond King's a good corner. And one of the best safeties in the league, Derwin James. So, I mean, that's it right there. They're stacked. They're going to be a good defense.
They got some good
I like their schedule. They start against the Bengals. I fully expect Joe Burrow to be a stud in the NFL one day, but his first start in a weird offseason, give me the Chargers defense. And then they get to play the Jets, Dolphins, and Jags in a 3-game stretch. I think it's like week 5 through 7 or somewhere around there. I mean, you can't ask for a better 3-game stretch than that. The playoffs is a little tougher, but I mean, it's defense. Most of the time we're streaming defenses anyway. But if you want to start the year off the right way, the Chargers is one to definitely look at with 4 soft matchups in the first half of the year. So
a lot of people, actually, our 2 teams are in the same division. So a lot of people are going to be like, that's a tough division. They score a lot of points, a lot of yards. You get the Chiefs. Like I said before, total points and yards don't matter in our league. If you shut teams out, that matters. Under 10 points matters. So when we do these rankings, the schedule comes into play, but not as much as if they're going against hard teams. Those weeks are just a wash. You'll probably get 1 point or 2 points for a sack. But then it pays out keeping them on your roster throughout the rest of the season when they're getting the 20 points or the 12 points, stuff like that. So in our league, I suggest defense is kind of important. If you can get a solid defense and you can ride them the whole year, like you get a Ravens, you get a Steelers, it's nice. It's nice. It's just like the tight ends. You don't want to have to plug, but you do what you got to do for defenses. I mean, don't reach. Don't go drafting a defense in the 8th round or something. But definitely don't write them off. So I picked. Let me just pull up the depth chart here real quick. I already know who's on the team, just so I don't pronounce names wrong. I picked the Denver Broncos. I really like this team. I like their energy this year. They're young, very young. They've had some really good drafts the past couple of years. I think their quarterback's going to be pretty good. But talk about the defense here. They got Von Miller still. Bradley Chubb will be back this year. They got AJ Bouye. Duke Dawson kind of showed that he can play football, just not in New England, so he's playing pretty well for them in the nickel corner. They got Kareem Jackson and Simmons at the safety. And they got Yida Dom at the other corner, who kind of had a decent year last year. I like them. I like them a lot. I think they're gonna be. They're always a tough defense. I mean, they always rank in the top 10, NFL wise. I don't know. I like them. I don't know. Defense is so hard for me to predict. I mean, I kind of just take a hype train and I roll it in. I don't know. I wasn't gonna sit here and talk about the Steelers or the Ravens, so I kind of tried to pick the Broncos. Probably a mistake, but
everybody knows those two are going to be, and the 49ers could be the top 3. But I'm not going to draft them high enough to have them.
Right.
Even in our league, like, they will go before I am willing to pick a defense.
Yeah. There's no doubt.
You know, no one's going to pick them for the last 2 rounds, but I'm probably not going to have them. I always end up streaming defenses. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but that's my strategy. Find the matchup and play it. But I do like the Chargers. If you can get them, they do have those soft matchups. I like Denver's defense too, but I haven't really done a deep dive into their schedule yet.
The schedule is not as great as the Chargers. If I had to re-choose a team, I probably would. But that's okay. I'll stick with my guns. I'll roll with the Broncos. Screw it. Denver strong. I don't know. We'll show the top 10 real quick again. So just to mention one team real quick, the Seahawks. They did add Jamal Adams, so their defense kind of went up in my rankings. They're not in your top 10 yet here. I'm assuming you probably update that. I'd have them in there probably over a couple of your teams. There.
I mean, the rest of their defense is still garbage, so I really don't know.
Who?
If I'm gonna. The rest of their defense is still just kind of trash. They're still rebuilding. They're rebuilding the secondary mostly, and I mean he's now a big part of that. But they're no Legion of Boom.
Jets had a really good defense last year, surprisingly.
Defenses are hard to rank anyway too, so I'm not sure where I'd put them, but it definitely helps.
Yeah, they're just like tight ends. You get your top 3, and then everything else is there. So, but guys, I appreciate you sticking through this pretty boring show this week, but hey, we went through with it anyway, man. We got it done. We talked about some tight ends. We talked about some defenses. We tried to talk about some defenses. Yeah, I mean, we'll be here next week. Not sure what the topic's going to be yet. Stay tuned on Instagram. We post pretty much every day. We got a spotlight coming up. A couple of rookie spotlights. I don't know. Some different things will be coming up on Instagram. We're going to have to keep it spicy for you guys. But I appreciate everybody who came by. The raids, Megs, thank you for the raid. Mr. Voodoo TV, the raid, all the new followers. Guys, this has been such a great time. Great adventure for us. Me and Kevin here doing something we want to do.
We got another mock next Monday, right?
Yep, we got another mock coming up next Monday. Maybe have a guest, maybe not. But stay tuned for that. It'll also be on Instagram. This episode will be uploaded to YouTube tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon. Depends on how my kids are doing in the morning. And yeah, I mean, we'll be here, man. We're going to ride this show. Why not? Even if we don't got a football season, we'll be here. The Fantasy Dads, man. Thank you guys so much for the support. We got a shirt in the merch store. I just ordered mine yesterday. Should be here soon. Hopefully get that for next Monday. All right, guys. That's it. Kev?